Hello, hello.
Hi guys. Hi Mary Askew.
Stephanie, Axel, beautiful people. Welcome all.
Oh, thanks.
Facing the darkness. Ooh, this
Wow.
is our topic of the night.
I guess so. It's end of the year, maybe.
End of the year. It is nighttime here in New York, and we're facing the darkness. This is what's
Yeah,
going
and
on.
kind of appropriate for the time we're in too.
We were talking about our nighttime routines in one, and now we're moving on to facing the darkness. You definitely
I'm,
have to face the darkness in your nighttime routines.
yeah, and I'm getting better with my nighttime routine. So
We'll be we'll be facing the darkness with a lot of sparkly lights. Let's put it that way. Starting with the ones in our heart.
yeah,
Um, what do we think of? What do you think of when you think of facing the darkness?
I think of anything that's overhanging in your life that might be oppressing you. I think it's facing anything that's in your face from the world. And I think of it as calling all your um, guides and angels to help you face them and give you the strength to face them. Because I know it could be scary, um, but when you have God's army behind you, there's nothing to fear. And if you have a support system, you know, you can literally face anything. Um, So I know in this time we're going to be seeing a lot of things being revealed, if we're not already, that it's going to show the very dark side of humanity. But with that reveal, um, it's going to make things better because we're going to be able to deal with it head on and remove it from society. And as a result, we're going to bring in more light because there's a balance. And you shine the light on the darkness, you expose it, and you eradicate it.
Absolutely. You go into a room that's dark, you light a match. Trying to see if I have one around here. I had some matches here. It would be nice to do that, but I don't have them with me. But you just light it and the whole room's lit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what is that and how do we do that with ourselves? It's something I've really been thinking of, facing down the darkness. And I will use a very weird example from my own life. It's not really weird, it's kind of interesting. Has started happening to me in 2020. I don't know why, but it did. I would be walking home and I would see someone, maybe, it doesn't happen to me very often as much anymore as it used to, but someone might say something kind of creepy or a guy might be kind of creepy. And I would, do something like look down or look away and move, But in 2020, what started happening to me was I started looking right at them and kind of staring them down a little bit. And every single time they would look away and walk away. Now, of course, I'm not going to do that to somebody who's like highly mentally disturbed. You have to pick your people. I'm not trying to engage somebody very dangerous. But it was an interesting thing for me because it was the first time I ever felt strong enough to do that. And that's really shining a light because when you're looking at someone, they're faced with your mirror. We are a mirror, like a phase conjugate mirror. We are in a phase where we go through the phase, we conjugate things within us, and then we mirror them back out. So this is a very powerful light in facing the darkness. And I've been doing that also in my dreams. If I see something weird, I will look it down now. And all it takes is a breath, like and it's gone. Whereas before I used to have to do this big long thing to get rid of it, or I would be, struggling So I think that's a great metaphor for life. You know, you
Yeah.
see it in dreams, we have different things, but it's like really facing down. And we've all had those experiences where it's like, oh man, my bathroom sink's plugged up. I gotta call the plumber and I don't really want to deal with it. And then, you know, the minute you do and you get it done, you feel great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's facing, you know, facing down the darkness. And you could say, oh, well, that's just basic responsibility, but it is, but it's also sometimes these things can be really overwhelming for
Yeah. I
different
mean,
people.
yeah, it may seem like a simple task, but it's like there's things you don't want to do that you have to do. And sometimes you procrastinate and put it off, and then when you finally do it, you're like, why did I wait so long? It clears everything out, and now you're ready to move on to the next thing.
And you procrastinate, it becomes so much bigger than it ever really was to
Yeah,
begin with. Like it's like this
because that's always
gigantic thing.
over your head too, and it's like now you got this. Not only do you have to do the task, but every day you're thinking of having to do the task, so it ruins the day when you're thinking about stuff that, let me just do it, let me make that phone call, let me
Yeah.
whatever. you know but you brought up a thing which I remember years ago, when I was younger. My mom and I went out one night, and we went, where we were in the Bronx. There was a little shopping center, but it was a couple miles away, and we would walk it, and we would have to go down like residential streets and stuff. And so we were walking back from the store. We didn't buy much, just a couple things. And there were, I think there were like four guys that seemed to come out of nowhere, and they were sort of walking behind us. They were like half a block behind us. And my mother noticed it. And so instead of trying to run, because where we were going to go, there was like, it was like totally residential unless you knock on somebody's door. We literally turned around and we walked straight toward them.
Wow, that's amazing.
And they just parted. Now I don't know if they had anything planned or what they were thinking, but my mother just stared them down, like you said, and
Wow.
they just dispersed. And then we walked the other way home, where it was a little more, I wouldn't say more populated, but there was more car traffic, and we walked home that way. But I remember that vividly in my mind, that we just turned around and walked straight at them.
That's incredibly powerful. And, you know, the energetics of it are that they really are the same polarization of two
Mhm.
opposite sides, victim and perpetrator. And so
And
when you turn that, you turned it around, that you're not that.
they like to pick on the vulnerable, but if you look like you're going to put up a fight, they may back down, because it's like, no, they want the easy target, which is why you see all these people getting sucker punched behind the head. It's like,
They want the
really,
easy turn
you
because they're
know,
really lazy and they can't really fight.
you can't face me and punch me. It's
Right,
like you're
right.
afraid
What is
of
that?
an attack. So it's like they always go for the more vulnerable or the
That's
easier target.
that's like an all new high level of weakness. Sucker punching someone. I mean, a
Yes.
pie in the face is great. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say that's a good one.
So what
Everybody
we
should
do,
do.
walk around. We all walk around with a pie in our hands so that we're ready to.
That would be awesome. Pie in the face is good. We'll support that one.
Or how about silly string?
That's awesome too. Tie you up. Um, wow, that is really incredible. And yeah, there's been a lot of that for me with that, and really looking people in the eye, which is not something I was doing a lot of, because, you know, again, you know, we're coming more into this place where we're feeling more embodied in who we really are. And so we're not hiding anymore, which is part of it's really not being embodied. Like you're sort of not in your being, I think. And that's what's been going on at such a level in this world, because the victimization of humanity, as we have discovered over the past 3 years and will continue to be revealed to us, has been enormous beyond all measure, of anything that's ever happened in history.
Years and years and years of it.
People do not quite understand, and it's not just years, but that it was literally a multi-billion-dollar industry, and that is more than any industry on this planet.
Yeah.
it was the largest profiteering business.
I always think of it as a money laundering,
Yeah,
because you create the fear and then you make money off it.
yes.
And it's just like, what more perfect scheme can you think of?
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I'm going to hand over my money because I'm afraid of this or whatever. Take my money. So
Yeah,
you're paying for your own demise, basically.
yeah. And I mean, these kind of really horrific things that happened were billion-dollar industries, multi-billion-dollar industries. I mean, just let that sink in for a minute. That's an enormous um, thing. It's the biggest, was the biggest, and I say was because it really was. It is no more. Thank God. But as this gets more revealed, we'll become more aware of that. And facing it means we don't ever have it again because you have acknowledged it. You have realized fully that it's happened. You've accepted it. And you've processed it within your being and said, wow, gee, this, yikes.
And
You know,
then you
we've all had to do that.
have a system of checks and balances going forward so it never happens again. And by clearing out all the negative, you know, move everybody to the future in love so that it doesn't even become an idea in anybody's head.
And I think it's important to note that we got to this point in history because we didn't face the darkness.
Exactly.
You know, somebody said a while ago, which I thought was brilliant, we should have paid attention at the milk carton. I mean, I remember children being on milk cartons and I'm pouring it over my cereal, going, that's creepy. Oh, well. You know, and it's not, listen, I was a kid, and think about what that's doing to the psychology of the child. You're pouring this over your breakfast in the morning, and you're already instilling fear before you even start your day.
Almost like a spell casting thing.
100%. I mean, come on. But, you know, nobody really asked why. Who are these kids? Is this happening in my neighborhood? Should we get together? Let's figure
You
this
know,
out. What's going on?
they don't do it anymore, do they? Because
No, it's
they
too
don't have
obvious.
they don't have no, but they don't have enough milk cartons to cover how many have disappeared. Oh,
Well, there's that, but it also was too obvious. People would have gotten smart, and they didn't want that to happen. So, but it largely has happened in our history because we didn't pay attention, because we turned a blind eye, because we didn't face the darkness. Facing the darkness would be getting together with your community and saying, let's make sure this never happens to any one of our children. What is this? Why is this? How do we make this disappear? Not how do we get the kids all back or whatever. How do we make these missing children disappear off of our milk cartons?
remember those neighborhood watch things, and we've become
Mm.
so like caught up in our own like work that we don't even think about, you know, volunteering an hour or two, and you know, form teams where you do a neighborhood watch, you
And in
know.
all fairness, you know, it's not to blame everybody for this because, you know, we were under things that were
Exactly.
incredibly toxic for our own bodies.
We
And
were put in a system that forced us to distract us,
and
and
we were put in a system
we
that
were all guilty.
literally made our brains fuzzy. So we weren't
Yeah,
really able to quite, you know,
yeah.
but again, it's to click it in and really realize that, to take the responsibility now in our hearts to face darkness whenever we have to, whenever we can, stare it down, look it in the eye.
Because
And
we want to clear it out. You don't want it to fester and linger there, and it's in the back of your mind all the time. Face the fear,
yeah.
face it, and shine the light on it
Mhm.
and clear it.
Absolutely. And it really will get easier to do. It is already easier to do. And again, I think just the very fact of doing it makes it easy to do. Like the minute you and your mother turned around, it started to get easier because you just faced the fear. It's so cool and simple.
Yeah, yeah.
Axel's like, bunnies do it all the time. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Bunnies do it all the time, right? Because you get attacked by everybody, right?
Axel's like, get on board. If you only knew what we went through.
They
I
talk
love
about the
you.
ultimate prey animal. They
Yeah.
have no defense. Everybody's after them. So they're
And
like,
they're cute, sort of like
right?
us, and we're all cute. It's rough. It's rough being Axel, but you're in good hands. That much I know.
But
So we'll
you gain your strength in facing all the bad stuff and overcoming it. So it sounds undaunting, but do one little fear, overcome it, and then you'll get stronger with each
and we'll
one.
keep doing it through the year, because as we find out things and discover things and learn about things, um, there'll be darkness to face as well as great discoveries and joy, I think, as we move forward in
Oh yeah.
this time. So we can look forward to all of it, but then continue to face those things and be there for each other.
There's strength in numbers. We outnumber them. So, there's going to be a lot of us going through the same thing. So yeah, there's plenty of help around.
We're all here for each other. I mean, I think that's such an important thing and a beautiful thing to know in
Don't be
facing darkness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've drawn so much strength from that in my own life too. Knowing that I have people who are there for me. It's wonderful. So we're there for
And
you.
call in Archangel Michael if you really feel like you can't do it alone, and he will be there.
Yeah, there's a beautiful story about a woman walking through the park. I don't know if you've ever heard that. And it was her connecting with Archangel Michael. And then later on, they got the guy who was after her and asked him, why didn't you attack her? And he said, well, she was with this gigantic guy, so I didn't. That amazing. Have you ever heard that story?
No, I didn't, but
I
that's
heard
awesome.
that story like many, 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 many years ago, and I thought, that's so cool. I'm going to do that every time I'm in a park
Yeah.
because I want to be walking with that big guy.
I'm always wearing my Archangel Michael with his sword.
So
I'm
cute.
wearing
I
that
love
every
that.
day now.
Or
Like,
Axel. I think Axel works pretty closely
yeah,
with him,
he
right?
could kick. He could kick butt, right? He's got my back.
Definitely. Definitely. He works
I'm
closely.
I'm
He
the
works,
treat. You're gonna mess with my supply of treats.
he's the Archangel Bunny. So, he's basically working pretty closely with these cats. So I think everybody can benefit from that too. So carry on and keep facing the darkness. And if you need to, light some sparkly lights while you do that.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining us.